Hello everybody and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. In this one we're going to be going over Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. I get the feeling she might be a menace on the battlefield, so let's just get right into her. Sue Storm's main attack is called Orb Projection. Launch a force field that can pierce through heroes, flying to maximum distance before returning to Invisible Woman, damaging enemies and healing teammates. This basic attack is very strong and has the potential to put out a lot of damage while also healing a lot. Pressing the button, she throws forward a disc. The disc can pierce through enemies and allies, and after hitting either an object or hitting a maximum distance, it will return back to her, meaning that enemies and allies can get hit twice by each projectile. This has the potential to heal a lot very quickly, as it heals approximately 40 health per hit. That means if they get hit outgoing and incoming, that's 80 health healed. And since you can throw these things pretty quickly, it has a lot of burst. Keep in mind that it actually bounces back if it hits something prematurely. If you're trying to do a bunch of single target healing or damage for whatever reason, it's best to aim at the person's feet, because it will hit them and then hit them again as it starts to bounce back after hitting their feet. This is pretty good if you're trying to do a bunch of single target healing, or you're just in a pickle and you're in a 1v1 for whatever reason. Her passive ability is called Covert Advance. Enter invisible state sometime after disengaging from combat and grant yourself healing over time. Invisible Woman wouldn't be the Invisible Woman without being able to turn invisible, and this is what that ability does. It's a passive ability, so you don't actually have to do anything for it to activate except not be in combat. That means you can't be getting hit or you can't be using any abilities for a few seconds, and then she'll automatically turn invisible. Well, in this state, she is completely invisible, and she heals over time, allowing her to move around before popping out to either heal or damage someone. Her healing over time isn't amazing while in this state, but she's also invisible, so, it can't be that strong. Invisible Woman's alternate fire is called Guardian Shield. Generate a force shield in front of a selected ally. The shield can block damage and provides healing over time to nearby allies. Enemies that pass through the shield are slowed. When looking at an ally, you can put a shield in front of them. Pressing this ability, it will place a shield directly in front of them wherever they're looking. The shield doesn't move, so hopefully people don't just run right through it or past it when they need healing. You can see the shield radiates a small amount of healing over time in a circle around it, meaning if allies are grouped up around it, it will actually heal them all. The healing amount is actually decent, and the shield blocks a decent amount of damage. If an enemy tries to pass through the shield, they will be slowed down. Once the shield is down, you can either move it to a different ally, or you can remove it from the field, lowering its cooldown. If the shield is destroyed, its cooldown will be set to maximum. If the shield has full health, you can place it again immediately. And depending on how much health the shield has left when you take it out of combat, its cooldown will reflect that. Do keep in mind, if you remove the shield before it gets destroyed and then place it back down immediately, it will still have the same amount of health that it had before. You do need to wait for the shield to regenerate health, just like Doctor Strange's shield. The Invisible Woman has a double jump ability called Veiled Step. Generate a force field at your feet. Stepping onto it propels you into invisible state. So for all the people that were worried that you'd have to wait to become invisible 100% of the time, this is where this ability comes in. Jumping while in the air, she will actually jump forward and instantly turn invisible. This jump actually also propels you a decent amount forward, so keep that in mind if you're trying to just use it for movement. Overall, there's not a whole lot more to say about it. Use it when you need to turn invisible. The Invisible Woman also has a special melee ability called Agile Strike. Release a 3-hit combo, the third attack will launch up enemies in front. This one's also pretty self-explanatory, and I'm not going to go super in-depth on it. Hitting an enemy 3 times will launch them forward. Do note that you don't actually have to hit the first 2 attacks for the third one to actually launch someone forward. You just need to do them. The third attack also seems to do double the damage of the normal melee, so keep that in mind. I don't know how much this will actually get used, but you can do it if you need to. Her next ability is called Force Physics. Manipulate psionic energy to push or pull enemies in front of you. This ability is pretty self-explanatory. Clicking the button, you have the option to either push or pull enemies. If they're highlighted red, that means they are in the range of it. Pushing the enemies, they get pushed a decent ways away and take a little bit of damage. Pulling an enemy pulls them closer to you, just like how you'd think it would. This can be used to either push people off of ledges, push people away from you, or pull people towards your team so that way you can do more damage to them. It's a push and pull. You might have to get a little creative with it sometimes.
You should pay more attention.
The next ability we're going to go over for the Invisible Woman is called Psionic Vortex. Gather psionic energy and then cast it. Upon hitting a target, scene, or pressing the button again, it erupts into a psionic vortex, continuously drawing in enemies and causing damage. This ability is actually pretty cool and does a decent amount of damage. Pressing it, she shoots forward a little ball. When it either hits an enemy, a wall, or pressing the button again, it will explode into a vortex. This vortex does damage over time and slows enemies inside of it, pulling them closer to the middle. The closer they are to the middle, the more slow it has. If you're on the outskirts of it, it almost has no slowing effect. So you really want to make sure you try and hit people directly with it so that they stay towards the middle for as long as possible. Like I said, it either has to hit an enemy, a ground or wall, or you can press the button again and it will explode where you want it to. Just like Scarlet Witch's stun ability. The Invisible Woman's ultimate ability is called Invisible Boundary. Manifest an unseen force field within a chosen area, rendering allies inside undetectable by enemies, and providing healing over time. Enemies that pass through the field are slowed. This ultimate is actually really strong and really cool. Pressing the button, you can see where you want to cast it. Casting it, you will place a giant cylinder that heals any ally inside of it, while making them invisible to any enemies. If an enemy enters the field, they will be slowed by over 50%. This lasts for about 8 seconds before disappearing. Now the healing over time is really good. I wouldn't say it's as good as Mantis's or Luna Snow's ultimate, but it does a lot of healing very quickly. Also, having the ability to turn your entire team invisible is really strong. Put this down during team fights and your team will definitely get the upper hand. Invisible Woman has one team-up ability currently with Mr. Fantastic. I'm assuming it's going to go to the rest of the Fantastic Four because it is called Fantastic Four. Invisible Woman grants psionic armor to the rest of the Fantastic Four. When Invisible Woman is on the team with any of them, they will be granted a new ability. Invisible Woman doesn't have to do anything except exist on the team for this ability to work. When they are on the team with you, they have a new ability that gives them the ability to generate shield. This is based on how much missing health they have, and I'm assuming the values will change depending on which character it is. As of right now, we only have Mr. Fantastic to go off of, and he gets approximately 100 shield when he's missing health. The shield regenerates pretty quickly, so as you're taking damage, it will probably regenerate a little bit. It can easily be bursted down, however, so it's not an amazing shield, but it does help with survivability a ton. And that is everything you need to know about the Invisible Woman. What do you guys think about the Invisible Woman? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you liked the video or learned anything, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as it really does help out the channel. I got a bunch of other Marvel Rivals content on the channel, so feel free to check that out. If not, thank you guys so much for watching up to this point, and I'll see you in the next one.